Welcome to another episode of Tech Talk Radio. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Sean DeWeird.
And I'm Justin Lemmy. Welcome.
And it's good to see you, Justin. We are the show, of course, that talks about computers,
Technology.
And the internet and all things video games and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's good. It's good to be back. I mean, it's been a couple weeks, been on vacation and stuff, but
It has. Oh, you were kind of busy last week with the water park is doing some different things, and you had to be part of that.
Yeah. Every year when the kids all go back to school, we're still open for business, so they get all the full-time staff to basically work the water park. So some people are lifeguards, some people are, trash pickup, some people are guest services, and I was slinging hot dogs and French fries all week.
How was it? Did you like it?
It's actually not too bad. I mean, it's a very small little menu. It's the only place in the park that was open that was selling alcohol, so a lot of people were coming in there. But it's literally like 5 things to serve, and the downside is you're on your feet all day, and some people are going to laugh at me for that, but I'm not used to being on my feet all day. I'm a desk jockey. But being on my feet all day, it was a little bit of a challenge, but it was fun. It was a change of pace, and I enjoyed it. So now that week is done. Now we're into the period between, well, now and Labor Day, because Labor Day we close for the season. So we've got a couple weeks left, but we're not open during the week. We're only open on weekends.
Right.
So it's actually really quiet around there during the week now. It's kind of interesting.
Would you recommend, like, if a family was coming up to Denver, to do a little vacation, should they check it out? Because I mean, it's like the world's or the nation's largest, or one of them.
It's
right?
America's largest water park.
We can hear your voice, right?
Remember, I am the voice of Waterworld. Yeah. Thanks for coming to Waterworld, America's largest water park. Yeah, no.
Do that so well.
I highly recommend it. It's fun. It's an interesting place. It is definitely an icon of Colorado. And yeah, I would mention if you are coming up to Denver during the summer months, definitely go check it out.
All right, that's good. Now, we're also seeing a look at, and as Sean said, it's a first look at your new setup after you have dealt with all this flooding and all the dripping out of that whole thing.
So if you're just listening to the radio, you're obviously not going to be able to picture this, but Sean and Andy are looking at the Zoom, which we'll put up on the website.
Yeah.
But I used to be up against this wall over here, and so the TV was, you never would see the TV because it was always to my right, against that wall. But then my basement flooded. It was early June. It was like the day after Misa and Eric went to Japan, and we talked about that. And I had an extended absence from Tech Talk because I had no more studio. So it finally got redone. We've got new carpet. We put everything back down here, and I took the opportunity to reimagine my battle station per se. And instead of it just being mine, I've also set up it's a 2-person desk, and I'll have to send Sean the picture a little bit later here. Actually, I'll throw it in the chat later. But anyway, it's a dual desk, and there's 2 battle stations. So whenever Eric wants to use the computer, he'll use the one that I'm on right now because it's the desktop. And if I want to game, I'll just bring my laptop and plug it in over here at the docking station. And I bought a new 24 or 27-inch, yes, 27-inch curved gaming monitor from Costco. So I can play on that one. So he can play on this, I can play on that. Or if we so choose, we also have his Xbox connected to that other monitor. I've got Xbox Game Pass on this PC, and we've got the Xbox on the main TV. So we can have up to like 3 people, 3 of his friends playing Xbox all on their own computer monitor or TV. So this is like the coolest house in the neighborhood for kids.
That is pretty cool. You did a good job resetting it up. And it was kind of cool because you had an open slate, right? It was just
it was all from scratch basically. I mean, we're not reusing hardly anything. Now, the only downside is the monitor mount that I have my triple monitor set up on. This desk is not as deep as the old one, so the monitors are really, really close, and it actually kind of concerns Misa and I because Eric has to sit so close to be able to play. Ooh. So it's like you would be sitting and looking at like a 60-inch TV from a foot away. Like it's just not good. So I
have to do that to read the text. I'm old.
Yeah. We don't want Eric to be like that when he's like 9. Yeah. So I bought a keyboard tray, and I got to install it on here, but this keyboard tray should then allow him to be able to sit back a little bit. and do this. And I'll tell Sean, the hardest part, Sean, was trying to figure out where to put my microphone, because no matter where I put it, it would bump into a monitor. So what I'm actually doing is I have it behind the monitor, and I'm actually going underneath the monitor and back up with the mount to be able to come and be able to talk to you guys. The other thing I made sure of is when I redesigned this, I didn't want to see a single cable. And so I took my time and I did it very, very carefully, and I made the wires look amazing, which has since now been destroyed because Eric's down here playing with his friends and there's cables everywhere. But I really tried to make it really, really good with cable management, and it looks really sweet. And like I said, I'll send a picture here. I'll have to find it, but I'll put a picture in chat and let you guys see.
Do you use the runners? I've seen, like if you go into, say Walmart or Best Buy or whatever, and you buy a mount, they have these devices that could go on the wall. You could paint them, and they're very, they look thin, and they can do hiding for the cables.
Yeah, I did some of that. I also used a little bit of the umbilical, the umbilical cord. There, Sean, look at the chat there. Yeah. I put a picture of our battle stations in it. But I did a little bit of an umbilical. I did a little bit of the white stuff to kind of like the raceway. A lot of zip ties. But yeah, it ended up working out pretty well in the end.
One of the things that I've seen a lot of people doing now, Sean has got the maximum use of lighting and color in his cast. If you jump onto our website, you can actually watch the video from this. You can see what we're talking about. And he has done something super amazing. All of a sudden, there is a camera floating above him from behind. You got to tell us how you did this.
So I've always wanted a camera angle from behind me, just to show like a wide shot of what my setup is. And it's kind of messy right now, so deal with that. But so I have my old iPhone 7 Plus plugged into power, connected to my Wi-Fi, running NDI HX Cam, which is an application that's free. You can download from the App Store, which pushes an NDI stream to my home network.
Can you explain NDI? I'm not familiar with that.
So NDI stands for Network Defined Interface. So NDI is made by a company called NewTek, which I think is owned by VizRT now, which is a broadcast company.
Yeah.
It's a high bandwidth streaming platform. Like it's a streaming protocol. So much like SRT, RTMP, those type of things. The benefit is that you can put it on hardware, you can put it on software, and pull this video in across your network. So all I'm running is that application on my phone, and I'm using OBS to pull that stream into OBS, then using the virtual camera from OBS to push it to Zoom.
Oh, wow.
So NDI is I'm going to change back to their camera, but
all right,
NDI is it was very limited in terms of use in the broadcast industry because of its nature across networks, right? You have to almost have to have a dedicated network just for NDI, just because of its bandwidth requirements, and its kind of interoperability with other voice or video over IP systems. So it didn't get picked up very well. And then during COVID, when everybody kind of had to go to something to stream, churches, houses of worship, churches, schools, all that stuff, NDI kind of picked up a bunch of steam, and it's been developed a lot on the back end. And now they have some lower bandwidth capabilities and some other things like that. But we use it quite a bit at work. I use it quite a bit at work to do. If you watch any of our Notre Dame Rugby Club streams, we're using 4 NDI cameras, remote, outdoor rated. They're mounted outdoor at rugby, all over campus network. So they're just plugged into a campus switch, PoE, to the cameras. We pull them back. We pull them back in at the TriCaster, which is a video switcher that is made by NewTek, so NDI native, and brings it in, and you can switch the cameras. You can add graphics. You can do all this.
When you're talking about high bandwidth, though, I mean, what are we talking per camera? We talking 10 megabit? We're talking 100 megabit, a gigabit?
Right. So there are a couple different flavors, right? So NDI is compressed. So it's compressed. It's compressed video, right?
Yeah.
So It uses full they call full NDI. They use what the codec called Speed HQ. That's the codec they use. It's about, it depends on what flavor of video you're using, 1080p, 720p, etc., etc. So for a 1080p stream at full NDI, it's about 120 meg per camera.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you have
network strain.
Right. So the benefit of NDI is if you have a network that supports it, you can do multicast, which means one to many.
Right.
If you don't, you have to do unicast, which means one to one, meaning if Justin pulls my camera down and Andy pulls my camera down, it's sending 2 full bandwidth streams to you.
Ooh, yeah.
Meaning that would be 240 meg or whatever.
Well, that's why you bring in that switcher and stuff.
Right. So there's a benefit to doing it either way. Now, they've identified that as a kind of a bottleneck, and they created NDI-HX, NDI-HX2, NDI-HX3, and it's using H.264 encoding, HEVC encoding. So now you're getting down to where you can put the cameras down to 4, 5, 6 meg per camera at the same quality.
Did you have to buy the software for your smartphone to be able to run it on there?
It's free.
So is that like the suite of products from NDI when it comes to the software to do it? I do believe that is the case, isn't it?
So everything that I've done to make this camera, I'll go back to it, right? This camera, everything I've done to make this camera get on Zoom is free.
Wow.
The application, the NDI tool software for my computer, the OBS is free. So all of those things are free. You can just download. They're all open source. Well, NDI is not open source, but OBS is.
Okay, but then how does NDI make money if they're I don't understand.
You have to there are licensed products for NDI, right? There are things that New Tech sells that can be licensed. And if a vendor, Panasonic, Sony, Canon, BirdDog, PTZ Optics, whoever wants to put NDI on their camera, they pay NDI a fee.
Right.
It's just like H.264, right? Every H.264 device,
it's just a codec, yeah.
They pay H.264. That is a codec that you pay for.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
It's pretty amazing. Even just looking at it now, like Sean, how you have set up, like I can imagine. We talked about houses of worship, and it used to be okay. They would just have one camera on it, and then they started getting like pretty experimental during the COVID, and saying, well, we want we still have our choral group here, so they wanted to be able to switch to a choral group. So suddenly they wanted to have 2 cameras, and then they started to find out about TriCasters and about OBS or even Wirecast if they want to use the Telestream product and pay for it. And then I'm looking at this going, you can have a camera behind a minister or a preacher or priest and show the congregation now. And I mean, it's just there's so many applications that this is allowing you to do.
Yeah, I mean, there's some benefits, there's some positives and some negatives, right? This camera that I'm using behind me is just on my Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is not ideal for this scenario. It just happens to work.
The little lag.
If I had one of my actual NDI cameras from work, I would obviously hardwire it to my switch, put it on my network that way, and the latency would be sub 1 second. It'd be very, very, very low latency.
It is pretty neat. I like it. I like the idea too. This gives you the idea why you never ever want to get rid of your smartphones. You go to a place and they say, hey, we'll trade it in, and they'll give you what, $15-20 on that? Justin, what do you think?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that. You are correct. I mean, that is keep your old cell phones because you never know what you want to do with them. However, there's something interesting that just happened that I want to talk about here in a second about what these used cell phones. But go ahead and finish your thought. It just made me think of something.
Because then you have the opportunity. I think, Sean, you're using an iPhone 7. People have thought, okay, well, it's not an iPhone 12. I'm not going to be able to use it. We can't use it for phone calls. You could still use those smartphones connected to Wi-Fi.
Yeah, and turn them into cameras or whatever.
Yeah. So again, this could be something that would be good.
Speaking of the phones, I was reading about this earlier today. The new Pixel 9 series came out.
Yes.
Yeah. And I actually I will tell you right now, I am going to be the proud new owner of the new Pixel 9 Pro Fold.
Oh, you're gonna go fold.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yep. So that's coming.
Oh,
That's coming on its way here soon. But the point of this little story I was going to mention is I've been hearing about how Best Buy will give you $1,000 for like an old like iPhone 12 or even an iPhone 14. They will give you $999 towards a trade-in or for trade-in towards a Pixel 9. Now, again, this is not Best Buy that's footing this bill. This is Google. They're
right.
like, hey, doesn't matter. Pay everybody $1,000 to trade in their phone if they get a Pixel. People have been exploiting this. They're going to these like cell phone stores that are selling old, used cell phones. They're buying old like iPhone 12s for like $200,
Right.
turning around, selling them to Best Buy for 1,000 and gaining $800 towards a new Pixel 9. I mean, that's pretty smart if you ask me.
Yeah. And the Pixel 9 has been getting some reviews.
Yeah.
Some people I know in the press world have been able to get their hands on one. Uh, Press has had a lot of harder time than some of those that are influencers.
Yeah,
That
right.
than those in the actual media. But
I guess I'm not that good of an influencer. I had to pay for mine. Thanks, Andy.
what made you decide though that it was finally time to move up? Because you didn't do the Pixel 8, did you?
No, I usually no. I do have a Pixel 8 Pro. My
Oh,
phone
okay.
is I usually skip a generation. That's what I
That's
usually
what I
do.
thought.
So
Yeah.
I've usually been on the odds. But now I went last year. I was like, oh, I'm gonna get it, the Pixel 8 Pro. But I saw the Pixel 9, I saw the Pixel 9 Pro fold, and I'm like, one of the deciding factors for me, honestly, was my eyesight. My eyesight is getting a little bit worse as I get a little bit older,
Yeah.
and I have to have readers everywhere. And I thought, this, and they talked about how having that foldable screen, the open screen, will allow you to be able to like zoom in on text a lot easier.
Hmm.
And I thought, that looks pretty cool. And I've always been a little bit risk adverse towards foldable phones because of that center gap.
Right.
But they said that they've actually got a new technology now where it kind of reduces that prominence of that center foldable gap. So I don't know. Um, I'm gonna give it a shot. I'm gonna trade in my my Pixel 8 Pro,
Right.
and then I told the wife, I said, look, I'm just gonna, I'll come up with the money somehow, little Bitcoin. um, but yeah, I should be getting my Pixel 9 Pro fold. I think it's like September 14th through the 18th, somewhere in that range. So I'm actually really interested to see that. But on top of that, because I bought it through the Google Store, I get a $350 Google credit towards buying things. And I was already about to spend $300 to buy the new Google streaming 4K devices. Like they're replacing the Google TV, the Google Chromecasts and
Right.
stuff. Now it's like a little bit of a set-top box. It's still pretty small, but it's more of a set-top box. Faster processor, more memory, more storage. And they're each like $100 before tax. So I was like, I was going to buy 3 of those already.
Hmm.
So now that I get the $350 store credit by buying this, that knocks off, in essence, $350 off my phone bill.
There you go.
So it ended up coming out of pocket, I want to say about $1,000.
Do you think that, when we first saw the flips and the folds come out from Samsung,
Yeah.
it was kind of like, people were kind of on the fence. We looked at the fold from Samsung and we were like, it was okay.
It's ancient
We saw that,
technology compared now.
yeah, we saw that crease and it just kind of bothered us a little,
Yeah.
but it looks like it's gotten better. They're saying that some people are really saying it's time with the marketing that Samsung's been doing that they're going to be ditching their iPhones for the Galaxy Z Flip 6. Do you
Z
think
Fold.
maybe we're going to start seeing that the flips
Yeah.
and the folds are going to get a lot more love?
I think so. I think with this new technology, and especially with the new technology Google put behind this particular screen, I think people are going to be more willing to try a larger screen like that on a foldable or flippable device. So they get that extra real estate without having to give up all that extra pocket space. Now, speaking of pocket space, I had to find a case for this thing.
Oh yeah,
And I looked around a little bit on Amazon. They're already released a bunch of cases. There was one case that I really wanted. It looked amazing. It was made of metal, full on coverage, front, back, left, right, up, down, whatever. It
right.
looked like an OtterBox. However, when you close it and you have that holding in your hand, It is about 2.5 inches thick.
Hmm.
Like that is the size of like a battery pack. And I'm not going to be putting that in my pocket with my phone. Like I love OtterBox for their ability to protect the crap out of everything.
Yeah.
But this was just a little overkill because it was literally made of aluminum. And I don't think I could do that. So I ended up, I actually haven't bought it yet. I'm going to get just a regular old case, but it is made for the fold and it does go with the grain of the foldable device and it's got a hinge on it. So, but it will protect the cameras. It'll protect the edges. It's got an air gap around the corners. So that way, if you do drop and it hits the corner, it's going to hit that air gap first. So it'll, somewhat protect it. But on top of that, I went ahead and I did buy the device protection. They offered an incentive. You could either do it for $15 a month or $279 for 2 straight years. So if you do the math, 15 times 24, you're looking at almost $400 right there. So I just bit the bullet and went to $279 for the 2 years of protection out the door.
No, that's not bad. Hopefully it will catch on and will be, a good product. Like I said, it's had great reviews so far.
Well, now that Justin Lemmy of Tech Talk Radio is going to have one, everybody's going to want one.
I don't know, and I was thinking about the Flip because I like the ads for the Flip, but I don't know if I could get used to it. Sean, do you think you could use that technology?
I don't know. I like to think that I would hate it, but one of my cousins has one of the Samsung Folds, and he's like, "Hey, watch this video." Flip. Oh crap! It's a huge screen.
Yeah.
Like, it looked really good. And I was like, "All right, I could probably." I just don't know if I'd like. My phone is big. I have the 13 Plus, the iPhone 13 Plus, and it's big.
Yeah.
And my mom has the iPhone 13 Max, and that's even bigger.
Right.
And the Max is about the same size as Justin's going to get.
So
Plus, it flips out.
The Max, the iPhone 15 Pro Max. No, yeah, 15 Pro Max. The screen size is the same as the 9-pixel Pro Fold screen when it's folded.
Okay.
So you are getting the size of a 15 Pro Max when it's folded, and then when you unfold it, you're getting just that much more real estate.
I mean, I see where it's beneficial, right? It's just I don't foresee myself getting one because I have a 2.5-year-old and a 6-month-old, and I can just see them going like this.
Dude, this is exactly what the guy told me when I bought my Pixel 7. I want to say Pixel 7. I had a picture of Eric as a baby as my background on my Pixel 6, and they were like, "Oh, that's a cute." Or first off, he was like, "Do you want the device protection?" And I'm like, "Nah, I'm good."
Yeah.
And then he sees the picture of the kid. He goes, "That's a cute kid. How old is he?" I'm like, "Yeah, like 2." He goes, he looks at me square in the face. He goes, "Are you sure you don't want the device protection?" And I'm like, I just imagined like a flashback of him like dropping my phone in the toilet or something. And I'm like, you know what? I should probably do that. Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, that's always good when you have kids.
But I also heard a rumor, and I haven't seen any pictures of it or anything yet, but I heard a rumor that the Pixel 9 Pro Fold interior screen will replicate an e-ink display. So you can use it like a Kindle.
Oh, that'd be kind of interesting.
That'd be cool.
I'm just wondering, how's the camera system? Because
best in the world right now. Top of the line, best in the world.
Is it better than the Samsung?
Yep. Right now, it is rated as the best camera in the world for a phone.
Wow.
And it goes back and forth. It always goes back and forth. It's like NVIDIA, AMD. Right now, it's the Pixel. Next year, it'll be the Samsung. It'll go back and forth.
It's the camera wars on phones, right? Can only go so far until we're gonna have a 35mm sensor on a phone. Right?
Yeah.
The sensors can only get so big until the phones get bigger.
Who do you think is going to be the first
as the phones get bigger, Apple's going to make some sort of iPhone device. I mean, it's going to be Apple.
I think
it's going to be Google. It's going to be Meta. It's one of them is going to make Red made their own Red Epic.
Right.
I don't know what that is.
It's a camera company. They got bought by Nikon not that long ago. They made a large sensor phone. There is a Red phone. Google it. It's got a
wow.
It's over a 1-inch sensor.
You mean like the Red phone, like the President Red phone?
No.
No, not the present Red phone.
Oh,
But like it could shoot RAW. It did all this crazy stuff. And I have a guy that works for us that does work with that. Was the only person I've ever met that had one, and I don't understand how it just didn't seem to be functional. But he used it on films to shoot and stuff. So
Wow.
I just googled red phone, and the first thing comes up was the Moscow, Washington hotline and a bunch of pictures of old analog red phones.
Oh boy, you can tell everybody you have a red phone.
Oh, the
so
red hydrogen one. That's the one you're
yes,
talking
yeah,
about.
the red
Yeah.
hydrogen. So the camera wars are only going to get so good as long as the math continues to get good and the compression continues to get good, because you're only going to be able to cram so many pixels, so many small pixels into small sensors. So until the sensors get bigger and the lenses get bigger, that you can only there's some theory or law, physics law that exists to prove that can't go any further until things get bigger.
Think about it. Could we eventually see a Nikon or a Canon smartphone?
No.
You
I
don't think so?
I think Google or Samsung or Apple, one of those three, or even OnePlus, possibly,
Right.
they may license and do a partnership with Canon or Sony or Nikon.
Yeah. Yeah. It could be.
Nikon and Red, because now that Nikon owns Red, are rumored to be working on a new phone.
There you go. See, you would think it
Yeah.
could happen.
Could
All right,
happen.
we gotta take a quick break. Come back. You mentioned Chromecast. What happens to those that are using it? We'll talk about that when we come back. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Sean DeWeird.
And I'm Justin Lemmy. You can find us on the web at techtalkradio.com. We'll be right back.
In the first part of the show, we were talking about Chromecast. Justin, you were talking about how you want to get the Google TV streamer, which has been announced. It's going to be available September 26th. And some people have thought, well, I've wanted to get a Chromecast. I had a Google TV once, a box, which was so cool, and I loved it. But then they kind of shifted to the actual Chromecast device, and they kind of left it out. So we stopped using it. What is Google TV Streamer? What is that good for?
Well, the Google TV streamer, it's an over the top box. I mean, it is taking the place of your smart TV if you have a smart TV. If you don't, it makes your TV smart. It is the one-stop shop for all your streaming apps. So you can put your Netflix, your Disney Plus, your Paramount, your HBO Max, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Plex, all that stuff, right? You can also put YouTube and YouTube TV and all that stuff, right? Everything. It's a one-stop shop. But, the original Chromecast was simply just a simple streaming from your phone to your TV. That was the original Chromecast. Then they came out with Google TV. And so they kind of pivoted the Chromecast towards the Google TV, which is where you get all the smart features like I just mentioned. But now they're upgrading that with more storage, more RAM, faster processor, and it's more of it's not just something that hides behind your TV anymore, plugged into an HDMI. Obviously, it still plugs into HDMI, but now it's more of a set-top box. And it's still really honestly the size of, I don't know, a pack of tissue, like a pocket pack of tissues. It's really not that big. But it's also 4K, the newest Chromecast as well. They do have 4K as model. We have the 4K models, but they're starting to get clunky. They're starting to turn off randomly, and I think they're just getting old. And there's no cooling involved. They're really packaged tightly into a thing, so they get really hot. So I think this new form factor is going to help a little bit with the cooling, and obviously the faster processor, more storage. I think it's going to be a better deal. You're going to pay a little bit more. You're going to pay $100 for it. You can
Versus
get the
49, I think is what
49 is for the 4K model of the Chromecast Google TV. 29 is for the standard like 1080p Google TV. So it depends on what you have. If you only have a 1080p TV, you don't need the Google TV streamer. You don't need the Chromecast 4K. Just get yourself the $29 Google TV.
What's the difference between Roku and Chromecast? Because people get in the store and they look and they see you've got Apple TV, Roku, and then you've got Chromecast, and then you've got OWN. If you're at Walmart, they got their ON or ONN or whatever they call it.
What's the difference between Ford, Chevy, and Mazda? I mean, it's the same thing. You're getting the same product in the
user experience.
Yeah, user experience, user interface, slightly different form factor, but basically they all do the same job.
Now, one thing I did see that kind of made me go, "Ooh, that's interesting." I like Roku's layout. I've got Roku, I've got Apple, I've got pretty much all of them. I like the way I've got Sling, and I like that one too. But I like the layout of it because you really get a chance to see some. You want to see comedy, you want to see this, and you can connect to some of the different services that are out there. But I
Yeah.
heard that the Google TV streamer will have access to almost 800 channels of content. Is that because it's Google that there's more content that'll be available?
They do have the built-in Google free live TV that has a bunch of, ad supported channels, kind of like Fubo does, or whatever. But yeah, so they have their own app that has that. But I think what they're kind of leaning towards is the integration of YouTube TV plus the Google free TV stuff, plus any of those apps that also support television. I just don't see 800 channels on Google
Yeah,
alone, but
that's
I
what I
could
was
be
thinking.
wrong.
Yeah, it was one of the things I was reading about it. But again, this will be available September 26th. If you want to get maybe you've got in a kid's room or a guest room and you want to just get a Chromecast device, it's going to be your last time to get those until they sell out, from what I understand. They're not making
Yeah.
any more. They're going to be done with it.
And technically, they're not even called Chromecast anymore. They're called Google TV.
Okay.
So, real quick note on this whole streaming thing, right? So, Justin mentioned Fubo, and it reminded me of an article I just read. So, Fubo sued Discovery, Fox, all of those. Remember how all of those were going to join in to do a joint venture for streaming?
Yeah.
Fubo sued and put a stop to it. They cited antitrust. So there is a currently an injunction to stop the launch of the Walt Disney Company, Fox Corp, and Warner Brothers Discovery Venue Sports joint venture. So currently that is on hold. So we talked about it on the show before because we all know everybody's trying to cram everything back into one streaming platform like cable. But as of right now, this was in August 16th, so not that long ago. Fubo put some lawsuits, said this is antitrust. Basically, it means it's not good for the public. It's not good. It's deceitful. Those types of things.
Not only that, but not only what you're mentioning, but now there's also a lawsuit going out there, or not a lawsuit necessarily. Well, actually, maybe it is a lawsuit.
Yeah.
They're trying to break up Google. Like they're coming after Google itself now, just saying, hey, you guys are it's antitrust. You're a monopoly. You monopolize the search engine market. The FTC now and the government are going after Google, saying, yeah, guys, the party was been great and all, but it's time for you to break it up.
But why? I mean,
because Google is a monopoly, dude. They own everything, just like Disney.
You got Facebook that controls stuff. I mean, everybody is just trying to maximize their bottom line, right?
Well, I guess you could look at it that way, but when you consider Google's got the TV market, they got the smartphone market, they got the search engine market, they got your email market. I mean, they touch every aspect of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Meta does not.
Yeah. Well,
yet.
Yeah,
that's
the key word.
All right, now go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say also on the streaming thing. I don't know if you guys have heard this story about the guy whose wife died of anaphylactic shock at one of the Disney resorts.
Yeah.
No.
And he was suing for
untimely
wrongful death, right? And Disney came out and said, yeah, but you signed up for a Disney Plus trial, meaning you forced arbitration. So good luck.
Yeah. Well, they actually backtrack now.
I know they did. Yeah. So they're claiming that because this guy signed up for a Disney Plus trial
years prior,
right?
In the terms and conditions.
Oh my God!
It says that you forego lawsuits and go straight to arbitration.
For anything against
Disney.
Anything. It doesn't say Disney Plus. It just says for anything against Disney.
So now he goes to Disney, whatever, how many years later, Disney World. His wife has an allergic reaction in one of their restaurants and dies. So it's a terrible circumstance.
Awful, after they confirm with the waiter multiple times that it did not have any peanuts or milk in it, and they said, yeah, you're totally fine. Then she ends up dying because it did have peanuts and milk.
So he goes and says, I'm going to sue you guys for wrongful death, yada, yada. They come back and say, yeah, not so fast. We're not going to court. It has to go straight to arbitration.
No, now they've actually, as of today.
Yeah, now they backtracked as of
because of public pressure. They're like, are you serious, Disney?
Oh my Lord, that's awful. That's an awful story about tech companies sometimes maybe losing identity.
Not only that, but now that this has gained that attention and gained that huge social media viral following, there are lawyers left and right signing up to defend this guy to go up against the army of lawyers that Disney's going to have.
Wow. But
This
he
is going to
can't
turn into a huge
proceed.
case.
He can't proceed with this. This is going to be very interesting.
Oh yeah.
Now, you were talking to us earlier before, in our pre-show about something that you've started doing again that we were trying to figure out what it is. What is it that Justin is doing again?
Well, I will show you, and then
I said Clash of Clans because Justin and I played way too much Clash of Clans and spent way too much money on it when I knew him in San Diego.
And I said a drone.
Yeah, it's not going to be either of that.
All right.
But here you go.
Oh, there he goes. Look at that.
I am getting back into DJing. That's why I bought got the Techniques headphones out. So what I'm showing here on camera is I bought myself a Hercules DJ deck. It's a professional deck that has, 2 decks left and right. It's got all the different buttons that can do all the different hot cues, fading, mixing, scratching, all the stuff that you would particularly see on a DJ deck. This thing was only $299.
It's not bad.
Now I got out of DJing when I left the Navy 20 years, or not 20 years ago, about 15 years ago. And I never got back into it because I knew it was so cost prohibitive. These professional DJs you see use these decks at like a Pioneer, and they go for like $2,500 each. So now you're looking at $5,000 right there for 2 decks. This thing was a great buy. It was beginner's deck. It connects USB to my laptop. I use Virtual DJ,
right?
Which is open source. It's free. Actually not open source. Sorry.
Yeah.
It is a free product. However, if you want to use the deck involved with it, you do have to pay for the license. So I paid the $99 for the license. Then for the content, all the music, I subscribed to Tidal, which is like Spotify,
right?
But Tidal integrates with Virtual DJ, and it provides lossless quality music. So you're getting better quality than you would with Spotify. Now, Andy, this is the point of where you ask, why in the heck would you get back into DJing?
Well, we talked about this on a previous show, and I like the idea. I think it's great.
Yeah. Well, I'm getting back in because I have a couple friends that want me to DJ their wedding. And when I looked into how much a wedding DJ can make, I was like, oh my Lord, I think I can make this work. A typical wedding DJ will make about $3,000.
Yeah.
And so I took out a loan from the Bank of Mesa with an interest-free loan. And I bought myself the deck. I got myself the license. I got myself, a couple other things. They paid me half up front, and I went ahead and paid her back. And then I'll make the other half when I DJ. But what's funny is I just finally got to sit down with them and talk about what they wanted for their wedding. And they're like, oh, this isn't going to be a traditional wedding. And these are our playlists. This is what we want. They want things like Green Day and Slayer.
Oh boy, I'm
like,
fun.
How do you expect me to mix that? And they're like, oh, we don't. You just fade in between. I'm like, I didn't even need to buy this stuff then.
Talk over the fades.
That's all I'm going to do. That's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to talk. Just going to talk over the fades. But hey,
now this device,
I get back into it.
This device from Hercules. Why does it? I've always wondered because I've seen DJ spin. Now I come from the old days of playing the Techniques 1200s, right?
Yeah.
And there were records on them, and you had your pitch control, and you would do that, and your mixer slide left, right, whatever. But these have they look like the size of a CD on it. What is that for?
That is your control. That is your controller right there. So this integrates with the digital part of the thing. So if I spin this around, it's going to act like I'm turning back the record or the CD or whatever. So if I were to go back and forth, it's going to go,
and it will do that with the Tidal service without delay.
Absolutely. It splits the tracks. And not only that, I can go down here and these 4 buttons, I can go vocals only, instrumentals, bass, or just drums, like kick drums. And I can easily, because all of these tracks now, this software can actually segregate the different portions of the track. So I can go only vocals or only bass. So it allows me to help me fade in and out with a touch of a button. It is amazing what things have come to. I used to mess around with Serato. Serato is kind of like the go-to DJ platform. Hercules and Tidal and Virtual DJ have done wonders for the DJ community over the past few years.
Oh, great. You got to get some pictures from it. Is it coming up quick? Or?
Yeah, it's coming up early September. Yeah.
You got to get some pictures from it. We got to take another break. we have listener comments, so we definitely want to do talk about some of these listener questions. And one of them involves somebody who got ripped off with Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's been in the news. So we'll talk about that when we come back. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Sean DeWeird.
And I'm Justin Lemmy. Send us your Bitcoin at, no, I'm just joking. Just find us on the web, techtalkradio.com.
In the last segment, we talked about getting back into things, Justin, with his DJing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I have talked about this before, getting back into more of an analog video photo world.
Ooh.
So you guys know that I have my Polaroid camera that I take pictures with, but I finally just decided, you know what? I didn't want to set up a whole bunch of digital camera stuff on my trip up to the UP this last time. So I still took it, obviously, but I packed in my Minolta X570, my 35 millimeter film
That's an
camera.
old guy.
Wow.
And I put on a 28 millimeter 2.8 lens and said, I'm just going to shoot a roll of film while I'm up there. So I dug around and I found I don't even know how old it was, a very old, probably 20 plus years old roll of Kodak 400 gold.
Mm-hmm.
So for those of you who don't shoot analog, 400 film means that's the ISO, or the ASA as it was called back in the day, of the film.
All right.
So I have to shoot around that.
Mm-hmm.
So I really
the
had
higher
a good
the number, the brighter you.
the
can
higher
get
the higher the number, the more sensitive the film is to light. So, meaning if it's a 800, 1600, I don't think it goes much higher than that in film. It just requires less light to less light to expose properly. So I took that up to the UP, and I had no idea what I was going to get, because the film was old. Old film can do weird things. It can look funny. It can not expose properly. So I shot the film, and then I sent it off to Indie Film Labs, which is a website, indiefilmlabs.com. $11 a roll to develop the film, which is a little pricey, but back in the day you were still paying $7 or $8.
Yeah,
right,
sure.
For double 4x6s. And I'm very happy with the results. I just got them back yesterday. So not that long ago, and I just scanned them in before the show. So I haven't done
those on our blog.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna put up my screen right now so you can kind of see, if you're on Zoom.
Oh, look at
you can kind of see. This is my son Max. This is my niece Caroline. This is Max and Caitlin. So these are all films. So you can see some of the imperfections in here. Like you can see some of the weird film, the film grains and stuff. But I'm just so thrilled with how the look and the feel of how these turned out. So I just encourage you, if you've ever been into film, or you shot film, just maybe pick it back up. Just take the camera back out and shoot.
Yeah. It's very nostalgic.
It's a different
looking at
feel.
that, it does. It's more homely,
With all of this technology and AI advancement and AI art and AI everything, right? I've got to just get back to being a human and creating art myself.
Yeah. No,
you got to just get that, and now I'm going to get these printed. I'm going to take it.
Where do you buy film though? Can you buy film from that Indie Film Labs?
Yeah, you can buy film from Indie Film Labs. There are more than a dozen niche film markets on the web that you can buy film from.
Okay.
And there are people that actually buy and sell and trade film. So you could say, hey, I've got this 30-year-old roll of 400 gold, and somebody might trade you. So, you can buy and trade and sell film. Reddit is a great place for that. There's an analog film community on Reddit that's really great.
Okay.
That you can buy and sell camera parts. There's a couple of users who 3D print replacement parts that aren't available anymore for older cameras.
Nice.
So there's a really good analog community that's out there. And it's fun. It's how I got my start in film back in the late 90s.
Mm-hmm.
So
I kind of
my grandparents shot film, and my mom shot film, and so
right.
I was around film my whole life. But
I kind of wonder though, places like the Country Fair White Elephant or thrift stores, around the country though, would this could create kind of a love for the old film cameras, which probably you could get a great film camera at a pretty good price now.
Yeah, you can, but the good ones, right? The ones that have autofocus, the ones that have motorized servo lenses, the ones that have the built-in split focus, which my Minolta X570 does, which is, if you're not familiar with split focus, it's just a diopter that's built into the camera that will actually shift the image so that when it's in focus, it lines up in the image. So it's off center. So if you look at it, it's split, but when it's in focus, it's not split. So it's part of the. It's one of the coolest features of an analog camera that I've ever experienced in my life.
Very cool stuff.
That's
All right,
awesome.
here's one of the questions that we got in, right? Justin, I know that you've been helping this guy out, and on Facebook, Tim, who sent us a note on Facebook about his Bitcoin that was stolen from his wallet. And the thing is that you've talked about ledgers, which is a safer way to keep it rather than having it just on Coinbase, right?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
you never. So when you buy crypto, you buy it from an exchange like Coinbase. There's a multitude of other exchanges out there. But the rule of thumb is you never want to leave your money on an exchange. And it's not necessarily for people hacking in like what happened to Tim here. It's more about if the exchange went belly up, they're going to take your funds with you. Like it's just kind of like a bank, right? I mean, a bank that is not FDIC insured. Let's put it that way, right? You're not going to get your money back. So what happened to Tim here says, hey, Tech Talk, I recently had a Bitcoin stolen from my wallet. I had Coinbase investigate the matter. Bitcoin is unrecoverable and is in a non-Coinbase account. Coinbase told me that the transfer theft somehow originated from my cell phone.
His own cell phone.
Yep, I am baffled, and I don't see how that's possible since nobody has handled my phone before. I do recall calling a phone number I thought was a customer service line with Coinbase that turned out to be fraudulent. Is it possible that the scammers behind the fake Coinbase number were able to clone my cell phone digital signature when I called? And then he goes on to say, is there anyone able to determine whether or not my cell phone may have been cloned remotely or over the phone by a scammer? I believe absolutely this is very likely a SIM cloning attack. And they don't clone your phone number. They in essence clone your SIM, which is the computer chip that every single cell phone has. And when you get a new cell phone, or let's say you switch from Verizon to AT&T or vice versa, you get a new SIM card. And that SIM card is not only your phone number, it is an IMEI number and a bunch of other like numbers that identify your phone to the network. There's a new tech attack going out there, and I don't know exactly how it works, but they're able to clone SIM cards. And so if there's a two-factor authentication like Coinbase turned on, where when you log into Coinbase, it says, hey, we sent you a two-factor text message, type in the 6 digits you got in the text message. If somebody clones your phone with the SIM card attack, they're also going to get the number, the text message with that 6-digit code, and then they'll be able to log into your account.
The other thought I had, Justin, too, is it very possible, too, they had already cloned the device, whether they were nearby it, they were able to access it, and now getting that person to call Coinbase and then go through those security procedures as they're doing it, they're taking the money out. I mean, that's always a possibility as well.
Very, very, very much likely. Yeah. And unfortunately with crypto, because it is not regulated, and that's the beauty of crypto, is that the government doesn't have its hands on it. But with that being said, it is still then the wild, wild west. Right. And you're not going to be able to do much about it. So now if you were to put this on, like I said, a ledger, which is basically a cold storage wallet. What I mean by cold storage is it looks like a USB stick, but when you unplug it, you put it in your safe or whatever, your Bitcoin is stored. It's actually not technically stored on that. It's stored on the blockchain. Everything is stored on the blockchain. Yeah. But your secret phrase, your key, everything that unlocks your wallet is on the ledger, and nobody can do anything with that. And as a matter of fact, I can take a ledger and I can give it to a thief and be like, here's all my Bitcoin, take it. They still can't do anything with it because they don't have my seed phrase. They don't have my master password. The ledger itself is just an interface for you into the blockchain, but it is still 100 times safer than leaving your money on Coinbase or another exchange.
But this is also important to remind all the listeners, whether you're dabbling in Bitcoin or anything, to remember that those little emails you get that ask for information, or you get a phone call that is prompting you to do something, or You got to log on to Microsoft and have your security checked. All of those lead to phishing. All of those lead to you giving up something that will
Yep.
enable that person to get into your account. And so you got to be really, really careful with this
I
stuff.
mean, you gotta in this day and age with all the scammers and all this stuff, you gotta seriously listen to this. Trust no one.
Mhm.
Seriously,
Even if it
trust
sounds
no
like it's
one
somebody
and
you know.
question everything.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Another one we got from Larry says, I love listening to your show. And honestly, I love tech shows in general. So hopefully they loved last week's show, which was kind of a best of. He said, I've listened to Kim. I know who he's talking about. And Leo Laporte.
Yep.
There used to be another show in Tucson as well. I'm thinking it was a tech guru. And then there was Christine, I think Glance that did a show as well. But he says, I wonder what is the best way to find tech shows online?
Yeah, it's very easy, Larry. Just go to TechtalkRadio.com.
Actually, though, seriously, I mean, it's hard for you to get onto X and look for a tech show that's been around. Metacast, they're doing some pretty good things. I'd say take a look at Metacast. They have I believe, a free solution. But somebody had asked me if we're on Reddit, and I thought about it. Does anybody go on Reddit? I mean, do people have channels on Reddit where they promote their shows?
I don't know.
You can pay for ads.
There you go.
Sure. I mean, we can get a Reddit community, but I mean, it's
right.
Yeah. No, not really.
We don't want that.
No.
All right. All right. So techtalkradio.com. That's your best source there, Larry. We
Yep.
appreciate you listening to us. But best way is to search the web. And if you find one, let us know about it. I will tell you, Dave Graveline is another guy. He's been on our show before. He does a show out of Florida.
Well, I mean, check all your podcast sources. You know, you got Spreaker, you got Spotify, you got Apple, things like that. And
Good
just search
pods.
for
Yeah.
Good Pods. Just search for tech radio or tech shows or technology, and they'll come up with a lot of podcasts.
Good stuff. All right, got to take another quick break. We come back with more of Tech Talk Radio. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Sean DeWeird.
And I'm Justin Lemmy. Find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Tech Talkers. We'll be right back.
So this segment's going to include drones.
Oh, there you
Surprise.
go.
Spoilers.
Oh, yeah.
Love the drones.
DJI, we had just talked about this, Andy, last week, right? They hadn't announced anything in a long time. Wise hadn't either, right? And then all of a sudden it just was like everybody's out there. DJI announced the DJI Mini 4 Pro.
Mm-hmm.
It is incredible.
I'm mad.
And it is cheap.
That's why I'm mad.
Really?
You can get the Mini 4, not the Mini 4 Pro, just the Mini 4. Trying to find the price here, okay, because I lost it. Where did it go?
I didn't
You can buy it for, it's like $399.
I thought it was $299. Is it $399? I thought it was $299, and I was so ticked off when I saw that because I spent $1,000 on the Mini 3.
Yeah, I'm not finding it for that price anymore though online now that I'm looking for it. But anyways, they announced it. They said it's $299. It was incredible, but the key factor is if you're not using the intelligent flight battery, it weighs less than the federal regulated limit for registering the drone, meaning no training, no regulations against it.
Sure.
You can kind of
It's
fly it
so
however you
small.
want. Don't be stupid, but you don't have to go register. You don't have to register with the FAA. You can just get it and fly it.
One of the things we're going to have to look at this week, and maybe we talk about next week in the show, the government has been pretty much anti-DJI. There's been, of course, a lot of talk about that. Now they're looking at TP-Link. I saw a story that TP-Link is coming under fire because of what their routers and their security devices and cameras could give up. So again, that's something we'll have to talk about on next week's show. But if you want to find out more about this drone, Sean, where do you do that?
store.dji.com. Click on the Mini 4 Pro.
Are you
DJI
going to
Mini DJI Mini 4K, $299. I really want to. I just dropped too much money on board games. So I got some time. I got to financially recover from this.
There you go. All right, that's it for this week's Tech Talk Radio. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next week with more. I'm Andy Taylor.
I'm Sean DeWeird.
And I'm Justin. Let me find us again on the web, techtalkradio.com. Have yourselves a great week. We'll see you.